You guys can text us your war plans. We're pretty excited about it.
All caps if you want.
Oh, totally. Lots of emojis, people. If you were on that, if either of you, let me tell you something. You guys know this, right? Because if you've seen the text messages, you guys out there do the text line, you can always tell, even if he didn't put his real name, Bell, you'd be like, this must have been a good situation here because Bell sent a Taylor Swift emoji.
Well, that's what I send to anybody who sends us a really strong comment on the text line.
That's right. You're going to get that. I mean, man, I can't believe that. The fact that we're talking about this, the fact that this is out, oh, my God, what do you think? What do you mean, what do I think? I think my bank account's not getting better from it, and I also think it's not getting worse from it. I think it looks like a bunch of clowns. You guys jacked the pooch.
Jack the pooch.
Am I right? I mean, you screwed up.
Yep.
There's nothing there that's super sneaky. Ken and I were talking about it before because you got to go like, okay, what did ABC say? What did New York Times say? What did the Atlantic say? Let's put it all together and try to find out what the real deal is. And who cares? Oh, but Chad, there's nothing top secret. They couldn't stop us, like I said yesterday. If we told them what time we were coming, we were going to land here. We were coming ashore. We were only going to bring slingshots. They couldn't stop us. Wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, Hootie and the Blowfish. I said Hootie and the Blowfish. You could have been standing on the beach thinking, I only want to be with you. We would have trouble getting around them comparatively to this.
Well, and it's like we said yesterday, too. All of our military assets over there are already in place.
Yes.
They're just waiting for the word go.
And it was it. It was a push of a button. It's like, hey, Tim, push the button.
Yeah.
Now. Sounds good. All right. That's it. Game over. We moved on.
I mean, this is just something that Democrats they finally have something.
That's a big deal.
And they're going to get a lot of play, and they know that they're going to get a lot of play in the media on it, and they're going to milk it for all it's worth. And if I was them, I would too.
I have zero problems with them milking it for all it's worth. Welcome to a situation that you brought on yourself. It was poorly done. It was a situation where you look back and you're like, okay, how exactly did you guys get here again? You got here because somebody thought this was a good idea, even though reports in 2021 is that, yeah, signal wasn't great. But why are we still adding it to computers? Why?
Yeah, and if the Biden administration was so inept, why is it still there?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's over. It's done with. There's nothing you do. Trump is not going to fire anybody because he fought hard to get them on, and he's going to go, I don't want this clown show to go on, and there's probably going to be another situation within 24, 48 hours that, is going to be a nightmare. If it was done on purpose, totally different thing. I don't think it was done on purpose. I think it was Occam's razor. Sometimes the easiest answer is the answer. Everybody's looking for it. That's why I love Chris. It's like, Chris, all right, tell me. Because, Chris, he loved himself a conspiracy. And that's what we love about Chris. He makes me laugh. He's like, yeah, I think it was this. I think it was just ineptitude, which is even scarier. What's worse, that you did it on purpose or that you're screwed up big time because you just went too fast? He even said, Mike Walls in the middle of the thing, oh, I'm sorry, I was super excited. I was texting so fast. But the emojis, if you've not seen the emojis, Ken, what'd you think of the emojis?
Yeah.
American flag, strong arm, thumbs up.
Strong arm, thumbs up, American flag, fire.
We talked about it yesterday, Ken. Seeing it in writing about how J.D. Vance feels about Europe is a much different thing than when he sits there and goes, you guys aren't paying your fair share.
Yeah.
It just, like on the front of several of their publications over there, it's like, is this the most dangerous man in the world, blah, blah. Because they're all worried if J.D. takes over that, it's over and done with. They're never going to see anything again. And he really hates us. It's just, does it affect you? Like you wake up today and all this stuff's going on. Does it affect you? No, it doesn't. Is it ineptitude? Absolutely. It was poorly done. This guy published everything today. Well, why'd he do that? Because they said it was not classified, not top secret, not super secret. So there was nothing to see there. And there's no war plans either. I don't know what that's even about. We're not going to war. There's no boots on the ground. Our stuff's already over there. This whole, war plans. There's no war plans. So I still think Ineptitude is number one. And after that, well, if there is something, you got to prove it. But it's a great thing. Like you said, the Democrats have to love this. They got something that they can see what happens. You should never put him in position like this. He was never capable of this. He's a drunk. He's this, he's that. They have a chance to fire stuff off at him left, right, and center. But does the average voter who skims the news, who probably has no idea what Signal is that a band? It seems like a band name. It's probably a band called Signal.
There probably is. I can look it up on my
look it up.
Apple.
See if there's a band
now.
called Signal. There's got to be a band called Signal. It'd be silly not to. But there's no classified info. And if there's classified info, where is it? Who classified it?
Let's see.
Super secret stuff.
Signal.
It's got to be a band called Signal, you would say. They feel like a rock band from like the 70s.
Signal band, artist. Yeah. They're called the Signal Band, and their latest album is called The Electric Room, featuring Shelley.
No, there you go, Shelley.
Yeah.
Hi, Shelley.
Mic Check featuring Shelley.
Oh,
Playground featuring Shelley.
man, lots of good stuff there with Shelley.
Make some funny noise in the playground.
Oh, wow, look at that. Make some funny noise in the playground.
Now I can't get it to stop. There we go. So, yeah, there is a Signal band.
You know what the good thing about this is? We know now, don't use Signal.
Yeah, and I will say this. I will have to say that what J.D. Vance says in front of the cameras is apparently exactly how he feels.
Yeah, because he was not, by the way, he was not thrilled by let's go, do this.
Yeah, he was kind of, maybe we ought to let Europe handle it. It's their problem.
Yeah, if there was 30 or 40% of the world shipping, that reached us, that came through there, it's 3%.
Yeah.
40% for Europe.
Right.
So it's a different story. It would be way different, It'd be like if Europe had to come fire on, I don't know, the Panamanians or because the Panama Canal. Yeah.
If Europe had to come build the wall.
That would be so awesome. Oh, my Lord. I cannot believe, though, that I thought, there's no way I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow. And then the guy's like, I'm going to publish it. Well, of course, I would, too. Man, yeah, he hates Trump, but you know what, man? Get as much mileage out of this as you can.
Absolutely.
Make yourself relevant.
Maybe some new subscribers.
Yeah, because they got about 1 million subscribers. They actually did pretty well last year. I was looking at how they're doing comparatively to a lot of other. They've kind of managed the storm when a lot of other places went sideways. So, but yeah, and we read through some of the stuff. Chuck said somebody needs to be fired.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll see if it is. I don't think anybody is.
I don't think anybody is either.
And I saw Margaret, I think her name's Tesla. She's from Axios. She goes I was with a bunch of voters last night. And she said, nobody cared about this. They care about the economy.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's what I care about. I care about the economy. How are we doing? Are we rolling? Are we going in the right direction? Are things good?
Yeah. I'm not worried about our military.
No.
I am not worried about the United States military might in the least bit.
No. And whether or not we can handle business.
Right. It is the economy. It will always be the economy.
100%. And we're going in the right direction. I watched, what's his name? Is it Harry Enton from CNN last night? This is hilarious. I want you guys to listen to this. But seeing it, and I did a video on it last night. You can go check it out on my YouTube, at Chad Benson Show on the YouTube there. But he's starting to jump around like Kramer is. And it was hilarious as he was talking about whether or not we're going in the right direction and the wrong direction.
I think sometimes it's important to do a little bit of reality check and take a little different spin at the numbers. I'm going to do that right here because all we talk about is how unpopular Donald Trump is. But in reality, he's basically more popular than he was at any point in term number one and more popular than he was when he won election back in November of 2024. What are we talking about? His net favorable rating right now comes in at -4 points. Compare that to where he was when he won in November of 2024 when he was at -7 points, or March of 2017 when he was at minus 10 points. So when you compare Trump against himself, he's actually closer to the apex than he is to the bottom of the trough. And of course, that's so important because Donald Trump, historically speaking, has had his numbers underestimated. So I think it's very important to compare him to himself to understand he's actually more popular now than he was when he won, or certainly where he was at this point back in his first term. The bottom line is Trump is more towards the ceiling than he is towards the floor.
And when he did the ceiling and the floor, he literally jumped straight up in the air. And then when he did the floor, he went down almost like he was a catcher going into a squat. And because he's got the big board. He's running around trying to do stuff. But when you read all the news that the world's going to hell, we care about us. We care about the world revolves around you. That's your world. Bell's world revolves around him. Ken's around him. Mine around me. And the powers and the people that be. That's where my world revolves around. And we care about that. This stuff here is so much noise that means nothing's going to change, right? Like they're going to, everybody to make copa. I'm sorry, I screwed up. Jack the Pooch, we're going to move on. Great. Now, let's get to it with the economy. Let's get to it with other things. What are we going to do with these tariffs? How real are they? India's going to cut some tariffs. I know that he's already said today, stuff may not be so tariffy. That's why these days he gives you with like, we're going to tariff you on the 5th. That's written in pencil with Trump because it may not be the 5th. It may be never. It's a dangle and see. It's the economy. That's what matters. The economy. Everything else is secondary. If you're doing well, and I'm not talking about your health, but that also helps, by the way. If you got money and you're sick, that's a big helper. It's always about that. The average voter doesn't care about any of the other things. Oh, they add up, but as long as you got some money in the bank, you're not worried about where your paycheck's coming and your food, your next meal's coming from, you're feeling pretty good, you can really withstand a lot of other stuff that's thrown at you. That maybe, if you didn't, that struggle would be much different. And then all of those things add up, and each one of them is another weight that you just think, I can't stand. So we're not going to talk much Signal Gate today, unless something absolutely is hilarious and breaks free. Somebody said, if I was an ally, I wouldn't share intelligence with the U.S. That's fine. Do or don't. We're stealing your intelligence anyways.
It's usually them asking us for help anyway.
Yeah. No doubt. So, and you know what is interesting? Speaking of like intelligence and whatnot, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's going on in Gaza, but the Palestinians took to the street and have been. They're over Hamas.
2 straight days.
And it's getting bigger every day. And their fear is the fear that the people have at first, like, am I going to be the first one to do it? It's starting to wane. They're coming out loud, which is what you need. You want to get rid of this? Like anything, it starts with the people. You may loosen it up, but the people have to be the one that drives the stake through the heart. And I don't think Hamas knows what to do because it's not like it's a peaceful time where they've got so much control. They're shattered. And some of them are on the run. So they've kind of, this is a good deal here. This could be really, really cool. So we'll see what happens with that. A lot of stuff to get to, including today, a beard transplant. That's right. That's the new thing.
A beard transplant.
A beard transplant. So if you thought to yourself, I need a beard.
I do.
Where can I get one? Apparently, there's transplants for that.
I should be embarrassed to even try to grow a beard between the two of you. It's just, I look like a fool.
You should have started smoking cigarettes when you were 13.
Yeah,
I've waited until I was 18.
So yeah, you got a little, you got some hair. You know?
Yeah.
But it's not like you're not gonna.
The two of you could play Santa Claus. I'm over here looking like a scraggly teenager.
You do kind of. Yeah, you do. You look like some of those. Like you're trying your hardest. You're like, I've been growing this for 9 months. I'm like, I've been growing this for an hour.
I've been growing this for 5 years. It doesn't want to come in any better.
We're going to get him a transplant. A bunch of other stuff to get today, some fun stuff. Do we actually have the Ark of the Covenant? New CIA documents are out that kind of point to we may have the Ark of the Covenant.
They got top men working on it.
Top men. That's what I'm saying. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. You want to get thinner? There's a way to do it that's simple and easy. It's called lean. I take it every single day, a couple pills. No, you don't have to get a prescription. You don't get shots, none of that stuff. No injections. Couple pills. It's all naturals, doctor formulated. It's incredible. First and foremost, if you know what yo-yo dieting is, and everybody does, you drop 20, put on 25. It drives you crazy. But what also happens is it puts pressure on your body. You're more susceptible to strokes, heart attacks, type 2 diabetes. Lean is going to help you maintain. First and foremost, with science, maintain healthy blood sugar, which is important. Control appetite and cravings, and this one's big. Take the fat and burn it, convert it into energy. Try lean today. No subscription. Get off the yo-yo dieting. No prescription. None of this wacky stuff. Simple and easy, few pills. You're going to feel energy. It's going to be great. Go to takelean.com. Get 20% off by using code Benson20. That's takelean.com. Use code Benson20.
Well, Caroline Leavitt is giving today's press briefing for the White House, and even though she wants to move on from group chat, she's unable to move on from the group chat. And I'll tell you what she has to say. You can hear it coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
President Trump's pick to lead the Social Security Administration was in the hot seat on Capitol Hill, and he did face some tough questions from Democrats about whether he would reject calls from Elon Musk and others in the administration to make sweeping changes to the agency that 72 million Americans rely on. So President Trump has tapped Frank Bisognano, a Wall Street executive, to lead the agency, and if confirmed, he would lead the Social Security Administration as Musk and his team at the Department of Government Efficiency look to make sweeping changes across the federal government.
Not all changes are bad. This whole thought that changes are good. By the way, if you win the lottery today, so you're worth nothing, right? You're worth more dead than alive, and you only got a $25,000 life insurance policy, and you have to die on your horrible job you work, right? So that's all you're worth. And you owe $40,000 in credit card debt, et cetera, et cetera. But you win the lottery tomorrow, and you get $25 million after taxes. That's change. That's good change. well, this could be bad change. It could be some stuff. Remember, though, here's the thing. With populist people, and Trump is one of those. Trump is, you would call him a bandwagoner. It's like, which way is everybody going? All right, that's the way we're headed. Like, he's no fool. It's the 80-20 thing. Do you think, he said yesterday, this is not another read my lips situation, which, in fairness, Bush did the right thing because we had issues with the money. But you have to make some changes. It has to happen. And they're not finding a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse like they thought they were. I think they'll find some, but is it going to be enough to just save that program itself? No. But the thought of we're going to cut people off is stupid. It's just, it's ridiculous to think that, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, but they're going to make other changes, like you might have to show up in person. You might.
On March 31st, Americans will no longer be able to verify their identity over the phone. They will have to show up in person at a field office. Now, advocates warn that this agency is already understaffed. So this, coupled with people leaving the agency, will only lead to longer wait times, more people showing up in person. And they also warn that some senior Americans in more rural areas could have difficulty showing up to those field offices.
So you pivot. You find out what works. Not everything is going to be perfect. But when you're trying to save something, you have to make certain decisions across the board. And this is one of those things where, we would love to see that everybody got to keep all their favorite things in their favorite places. But it's not going to be that way. This does matter, though, because the one thing I talked about when I went out there this weekend to the Tesla protest, there were a lot of people who were older, right? I think was it Jim Bob, the guy that comes on with Chris, the YouTuber guy, I think, and he goes, there was a lot of old people out there, and a lot of them were concerned singularly about Social Security. They have this weird thought that Trump and Elon and Witkoff and all of these guys who are really successful are Scrooge McDucking it, and they're going in the back and they're looking around and they're taking all of the money and they're just putting it into each other's accounts. And that's not happening. First of all, there's no money. We have to borrow it. But it's just not happening. But there is that thought process that everything's going to change. They're going to take it all away from me. That isn't going to happen. Because Republicans who vote and who voted for Trump, they, too, are part of that 72 million who rely on it. Same thing with Medicare. They rely on it. But you do have to come to a realization that we're going to have to make choices. And it's not about today. It's about tomorrow. It's about, next year and a decade from now that you're trying to fix it. Because you're not going to fix it all today. So that's what a lot of people are worried about. And the phone thing, right? That's a very popular thing, especially amongst the elderly and Bell. The phone, we were talking about this earlier because I said, dude, do you have Venmo? He's like, I think after your wife made fun of me for not having it, I got it. Because I don't do stuff like that. I'm like, that's why you're the phone guy. Press 1, eat. Press 2, eat. That was a big deal, and they reinstated some of those things.
Just for the record, I do adopt technology rather quickly when it's something I can use. I haven't been able to use it until now.
Well, he used it now. So there you guys go.
There you go.
So those things matter. Signalgate, it's so much. Not so much. Coming up, so many good things. We got some crazy audio today just for Ken. Because you guys know I like to bring crazy audio in for Ken. And we got a whole bunch of wackadoos lined up who are saying the most absurd thing. I think Ken's going to find himself laughing rather hard today. We'll talk about that, bunch of other stuff to get to. If you're missing the show, we say shame on you.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And moments ago, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at today's briefing.
Later this afternoon in the East Room, President Trump will mark Women's History Month by honoring the exceptional women around our country, including the highly talented women in his administration and his cabinet. And on an additional scheduling update, the president will hold a press conference in the Oval Office today at 4:00 p.m. to announce tariffs on the auto industry. And I will leave that to him to make that announcement later.
And what about that group chat?
Here are the facts. The National Security Advisor has taken responsibility for this matter. And the National Security Council immediately said, alongside the White House counsel's office, that they are looking into how a reporter's number was inadvertently added to this messaging thread.
And she is still fielding questions on the group chat. Protests brewing all around the Mideast today, particularly in Gaza, where people are urging Hamas to step up and come to a ceasefire agreement with Israel. We get more from ABC's Matt Rivers at an anti-Israeli government protest in Jerusalem.
There have just been continual protests here in Jerusalem for a long time now against the war, against the prime minister. We're very used to protests on this side of the border. Over in Gaza, not so much. These protests are pretty extraordinary in the sense that they're being called for around Gaza. Anti-Hamas protests basically saying, let us live. That is essentially the theme of those protests.
Right now in Tennessee, legislation that allows school districts to turn away or charge tuition to enroll illegal immigrant children, scheduled for a vote in the full House Education Committee this afternoon. We'll let you know how that goes. And that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Well, but there is no severe weather threat on Saturday, but just get ready to work around that rain. A break in the rain Sunday afternoon, but then severe weather expected Sunday night. Beacon Capital Management, with all the things going on out there, how do you feel about your retirement? Maybe you just got into retirement and you're feeling a little woozy, right? You're trying to get those sea legs and now you're worried. Oh, are we taking on water? Call Beacon today and get their retirement ready toolkit. So this is really pertinent if you're getting close to retirement or you're retired. And talk to them about what they can do for you and sit down and meet with them. That's the beauty of them. They're local. Call 615-488-9303. A lot of people out there have some anxious feelings about what's happening. You know, tariffs. What is this all about? Are we going to see the market itself collapse? And don't worry about it. They've got you covered. They're going to get you out a free retirement ready toolkit. Now, in this, you're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. And then you sit down and talk to them. Help them understand what you're going through, and they'll settle your nerves. Call Beacon today at 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303 to get your free retirement-ready toolkit from Beacon, 615-488-9303, or online at askbeaconnow.com. Doge doing Doge things. I think today's the day we're going to find out if we're going to keep PBS and NPR, which we all like NPR because they do whisper.
The leaders of PBS and NPR are set to appear before the House Doge Subcommittee today in a hearing on federal funding for public broadcasters. Committee Chair Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene accusing the public media outlets of liberal bias and has titled the hearing Anti-American Airwaves Holding the Heads of NPR and PBS Accountable. It's coming after a federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from shutting down Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, finding the attempt to defund the group likely violated federal law.
Probably. I want to hear that name again because that sounds like a mouthful, right? Like you want to have something that's easy to work with.
Anti-American Airwaves Holding the Heads of NPR and PBS Accountable.
That's the name of my new album. Who came up with that? You're fired. What did Trump have to say about it?
Interested in defunding and taking away taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS.
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased with the whole group. I mean, a whole group of them. And frankly, there's plenty of, look at all the media you have right now. There's plenty of coverage. I was from a different age, and they spend more money than any other network of its type ever conceived. So the kind of money that's being wasted, and it's a very biased view, you know that better than anybody. And I'd be honored to see it end. We're well covered. Look at all the people that we have here today. We're well covered, and we don't need it, and it's a waste of money. Especially, I don't even know what Doge's recommendation is. I assume their recommendation is to close them up.
Well,
really, you don't know what their recommendation is? You haven't talked to anybody at Doge? You've been talking about getting rid of this thing forever. So it's really weird the way it works. So there's this bizarre corporate public broadcasting that is essentially a nonprofit. It operates, Congress sets everything up, but it operates outside of Congress. It's a nonprofit, and it is separate, and they send them $525 million a year. I think it's time for NPR to go. I got zero problems with that. PBS actually is pretty benign. They're for the most part, they're kind of a, news. It's not like they do news 24/7.
How will kids learn to read if they don't have Sesame Street, though?
How will I find out how much my saucepan my great-grandmother left me without the Antiques Roadshow?
Yeah, that's an even better point.
Yes. So I think, PBS gets a decent amount. NPR doesn't get really as much, and the rest of it is all donations. And they've got corporate sponsors and stuff like that. But NPR is super left. I think we all know that. And they whisper a lot. Hi. Could you imagine, Ken, if we worked there, how terrified we'd make them?
Yes.
We don't need to yell. We're always right.
We're whispering, so nobody hears what we really said.
I mean, we'd be putting people in headlocks in the hallways.
Kicking them in the grundles.
Ken does that anyway.
So we don't need it. The reason they created this is because in the 60s, government looked up and said, okay, because I don't know why government has to always be involved in everything. All of the networks, because the whole thing is like we're licensed. Everybody here's we've all got, we used to have a license. You old enough? Were you in radio then? Ken was. Ken, remember when you used to have a license?
Yep.
I had one too.
So you used to have a license. I don't know why. I mean, but it's not like anybody was going to pull us over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if the FCC showed up on your midnight to 6 a.m. shift to make sure the transmitter logs have been filled out.
Every one of us has a story of working overnight, and we're like, man, I'm hungry, and this is a long-form thing, so I'm just going to chance it and take off and go get myself some food.
Yeah, that was well before the days of DoorDash.
Yeah, so, and I could have put it on my DoorDash card. But we're licensed, and back in the day, part of the whole thing with, when the FCC and all these things were created was like, we're going to allow you to broadcast, and in doing so, you've got to do stuff for the community, blah, 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 blah. And then in the 60s, they're like, man, you know what? No, there's nothing cultural. These people aren't doing anything. It's all about entertainment. It's all about making money. So let's try this, and we'll make it as nonpartisan as possible, and we'll just let everybody, we'll teach kids how to read, and we'll talk about artsy stuff and blah, 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 blah. And since then it's become, it's 520, it's money, but does it really, the amount of money they get comparatively to like a radio station is tremendous. And that being said, if they kept PBS, I don't have a problem with it because PBS is, it's PBS. They have 1 hour of news a day, I think. PBS NewsHour, maybe 2. But the rest of it's just, what's on now? Some sort of British show about butter? Coming up next on PBS, butter. How do we churn it? The Amish will show us. Then you go and you send $25 in. My great-grandmother used to say, I send $25 in, I get a tote bag. KCE TV tote bag. Woo, Grandma, thanks. So, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody, coming up next, upstairs, downstairs. That was a big one. You guys remember upstairs, downstairs. So,
New Yankee Workshop, baby.
Yeah.
And you get tote bags.
And you did. You got a tote bag. One year I got a tote bag from my grandmother. She thought it would be neat. And she goes, I donated in your name. I'm like, well, Grandma, you didn't really. Oh, good. A tote bag and a Frisbee that I can't play with because nobody plays Frisbee. You even play Frisbee?
Oh.
You ever say to your friend, hey, you guys want to go play Frisbee?
Hey, man, go get the Frisbee, dude.
It's Ultimate Frisbee. That's that game the hippies play. Ultimate Frisbee.
Now, there is Frisbee golf.
There is.
Disc golf, it's called.
Yeah, don't say Frisbee because then people get all mad.
Golf, yeah.
That's another one of those sports. I never really, let me tell you something. If you want to know who's got weed, find people playing disc golf. You can't go to a place where they're playing disc golf and not see at least 15 people in tie-dye shirts. Gotta be. I'm playing disc golf, man. It's pretty awesome. Well, I play real golf, okay? So
disc golf has replaced the hacky sack.
It has. The hacky sack and all those phenomenal things that we used to do. You know what else? You know what the hipster thing we were talking about this week is? The hipster thing is now going throwing axes. Because somebody thought, hey, I got a great idea. Let's get people liquored up. We'll give them some axes. We'll put a little net in between everybody. Should go fine.
If not, we'll deal with it.
Bob Ross, he was on PBS.
Yep.
Have you seen that documentary about the fight over all of his paintings?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was crazy. Let's see here. There's a lot of stuff. Disc golf. Yes, we know it's disc golf. The merch. We did like the merch. NPR and all of those guys do their annual membership drives. Yeah, they do. And you know what? They get a vast majority of their money. There are small places in rural areas where they get like 40 or 50% of their budget. But we're talking small rural areas. But most of it's all donations. And we have to compete against that. They're a non-commercial station. Bunch of jerks. You guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, my Lord. This is, if you guys don't know what's going on with Jasmine Crockett, she has decided she's going to be the voice of the Democratic Party, even though Bernie and AOC are trying to be the voice of the Democratic Party. And by the way, Bernie can't do it. Okay, guys? He's an 80-some-year-old man. He can't carry you guys every year. He can't. That's why he's hoping, come on, AOC, I can't do it anymore. You got to do it with me. But if you didn't see her yesterday or the other day it came out, she was at an event, and she's from Texas. And if you guys don't know anything about Greg Abbott, at 26, he got into an accident. He's paralyzed, and he's in a wheelchair.
Tree fell on him.
Yeah. It's not, and we were talking about it earlier with the big boss here. I said it's got to be weird because you've lived your life as this athletic, running. He was running, and then you're paralyzed. But he's gone on and he's become super successful, and he's got himself he's the governor and everything, and people think he's got aspirations for the White House. I'm here to tell you, it's probably not going to happen. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
This country would never elect somebody in a wheelchair.
Never.
Much less 3 times.
Trust me, FDR in today's world would never have gotten elected.
Fly.
No chance whatsoever. Look, if you're lost your mind and you don't know where you are and you're walking around, we may put you in the White House. See Biden. But a wheelchair? No, it's we tend to pick the person who's even taller on stage over somebody else. But she said this about him.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot ass mess, honey. So yes. Right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move on because
I don't know. She wants to be a celebrity. She says all these wacky things because her goal now is to be a celebrity. It is not about anything other than that. She's out there because she wants to get her she wants her 10 minutes of fame. She wants to grow her social media. She's looking over there, seeing what AOC's doing. She wants all of that stuff. I'm more disturbed by the way that people are cheering it on than anything else. Lonely Scott.
What I fear is that no lesson could ever be learned as long as you're doing these things in front of audiences who roar when you do it. When you have comedians who are broad messengers for the left making unfair jokes and people are roaring, when you have politicians being vulgar and saying what's the lesson?
The lesson is, if you want to be a celebrity, you just say stuff that's insane. She tried, this is the thing too, she tried to back out of it, say, I've said this, I said this because, and this was because of the planes, the trains, and the automobiles that Governor Abbott used to bus immigrants to black cities with black mayors to pit them against one another. That was her excuse of why she said that. No, he's in a wheelchair. If Donald Trump would have said that, it would have been stories for days. It would have been nonstop. And they would have been brought up right after, like the minute you would have said anything, it would be like January 6th, and he said this about somebody in a wheelchair. And you're like, oh. But Van Jones went on, and he was not thrilled. And you got to be, look, Van Jones is no lover of Trump, but also comes to the realization that the Democrats are lost.
She's new, she's young, and she's trying to find her way. I think that this party is scrambling, trying to seem tough. And I'm seeing this party traffic in a lot of curse words. That's supposed to be like the new cool thing to do. I don't think that's going to be as useful. I've even heard Pete Buttigieg with a whole bunch of curse words. I don't know who gave that memo. I don't think that's very useful. I think you have to be very careful when you're talking about people with disabilities. And I don't think she was careful.
No, she wasn't careful. She was the exact opposite. And she's done this in the past. And it's one thing to be a critic, and you can go after him all you want. I do a show in Dallas early in the morning, and I will tell you this. There's a lot of people out there that are critics of him. A lot of people even support him are critics of him at times. And he is somebody who at times has deserved some of his criticism. But for the most part, he's is about as straight arrow and as boring and conservative as you can get in a lot of things. And no. If you do this for a living and you poke fun at people, okay, that's one thing. This wasn't a roast. And you're not out there, you're not there saying something against a policy. You're trying to get attention. You want to grow your followers. You want clicks. You want likes. You want controversies. You want cameras with you. That's what you're most interested in. It's not whether or not you're doing the best for your district in Texas. Coming up, we got some crazy audio. And why? Because I like to bring crazy audio in. We scour the internet. I tell my early morning producer, I said, scour the internet for the most crazy things you can find because it makes Ken laugh, and that makes me laugh. And you guys are going to laugh, too. And some of you are going to be shocked by how stupid America is. Yeah, it's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks. Would you like $50 for just playing a $5 lineup? I'm going to get you that bonus when you go to Prize Picks. You download the app. And the minute you play your first $5 lineups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like less than a cup of coffee, you're going to get $50 instantly as a bonus, win or lose, no matter what happens in that first one. So how do you play? It's so simple. This is not about picking teams. It is not about what's the line. It is simply above or below. Do you think, let's just say, Shohei Ohtani is going to get 1.5 hits this game? So over, above, or below? Do you think that maybe Steph Curry is going to get 23.5 points this game? That's simple. It's about the players. It's fantasy done right. You can win 1,000 times your money. And when you use my code Chad, when you download the app, instantly you get $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. It is that simple. You can go cross sports. You can do just one sport, and they got everything. Soccer, hockey, basketball, every single thing you could think of, they've got it. And yes, in the Premier League, which I really enjoy. So join it today. Play Prize Picks. Get $50 bonus for use my code Chad. Download the app today. Prize Pick. Run your game. Must be 21 present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Physical confrontation over at the state capitol. We'll tell you about it, let you hear some of it coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a season for that.
Did you know, however, there is a gender identity that is linked to the seasons? This is called gender season. And this is a gender identity I've only just learnt about. It's a micro identity. It's not an identity that I have ever heard discussed before. It's a new one for me. Gender season is an individual who explores their gender identity in relation to a season or all the seasons. So this might be somebody whose gender expression and identity is linked to one season. So for example, winter. Or this might be somebody whose gender identity and expression changes depending on the season.
Absolutely. So I was like, I know, exactly. I was like, Eric. He goes, it's spring. My name's Erica now.
That's some of the weirdest. That is just stupidity of the highest form.
Well, it's getting better because now we're going to head up to Canada.
In Canada. Today to recognize Two-Spirit and Indigenous LGBTQIA+ Awareness Day. The Two-Spirit flag showcases a rainbow with two eagle feathers to symbolize the balance of masculine and feminine spirits. The celebration at City Hall featured drumming and cultural performances. Organizers say the day is meant to honor and acknowledge Two-Spirit people within the community. They say the recognition is a reminder of Indigenous representation in Canada.
And so today is a practice of remembering who we are, being who we are.
Thank you, Linda Two Balls. What do you think, Trudeau?
LGBTQ2+.
That's right.
I'll never hear that title again without thinking of him stumbling through that.
I'd still like that. Because he also
is pure frustration.
He also realizes how ridiculous it is. So, so the Two-Spirit thing, two feathers, honoring the two feathers. I don't like the whole thought of like that's that season again where Belle becomes a woman and I become a man. But don't worry, in the summer we flip flop.
A man, baby.
It's a man, baby.
Trade places.
Who sits around all day? She goes, I just love how she's like, I've never heard of it because it's made up is why you've never heard of it. That's why you've never heard of it.
And the thing is that the fact that it's made up, any logical person with any sense of reason hears that and goes, this is ridiculous.
Anybody in their mind sitting there going, this can't happen. You're full of it. You're nuts. You're nuts. Stop believing everything everybody tells you. Good God. Coming up. I can't wait to find out what happened at the Hill. Is this over the education?
This is over a gun control bill.
Okay. Well,
which very outspoken Democratic representative on gun control got angry when his bill was voted down.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear this. That's coming up straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
$1:00 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, looks like we have a crash. It's on the right shoulder between a pickup and a semi. It's going to be 40 westbound right before Hermitage Avenue, so keep that in mind. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Here in Tennessee, Memphis Democrat State Rep Justin Pearson got angry after his gun control bill failed. He strolled up to Sevierville. Republican State Rep Andrew Farmer got into Farmer's face, pointing and shouting at Farmer, prompting other lawmakers to intervene, removing Pearson from Farmer's space. Here's part of the debate leading up to the fracas.
We need to do something about the gun violence epidemic. We have the power to do something about the gun violence epidemic, and we don't just have to offer some empty thoughts and prayers.
I don't think it's fair for you to come in front of this committee and lecture us on hard work and convictions and hard work for our committee. So when I understand where you're at and what you're doing and why, but at the end of the day, we've been here working.
It is a pathetic excuse for you to not answer the question of why we are doing nothing about the gun violence epidemic than to personally attack me. But let me explain to you what I have been doing, Representative, since you asked. My brother, Temperance Darnell Pearson, one of the loves of my life, passed away from gun suicide on December 1st of 2024.
That's why Pearson says he's been away. Well, the situation escalated from there. Pearson raising his voice, talking about his family. Farmer responded by saying the attack was not personal. But these two, according to News 2, do have a history. Farmer was one of the House members who spoke on the House floor before the expulsion of Pearson and State Representative Justin Jones back in 2023. The White House says President Trump maintains confidence in his national security team in the wake of a reporter mistakenly being added to a group chat with top administration officials texting back and forth about pending military action against terrorists last weekend. This is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed. The Atlantic has even admitted this themselves. Their release of these internal messages validates the truth, which we have been saying all along.
The Atlantic published the entirety of the group chat conversation that their editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg saw. Large protests against Hamas today in northern Gaza. Hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza protesting against Hamas. This is for a second day in a row. It's a rare show of defiance against the terror group there. Men, young and old, marching through neighborhoods in the north and south of Gaza, chanting Hamas out, end the war, even release the prisoners, a reference to the 59 Israeli hostages. Protesters angry, blaming Hamas for the renewal of Israeli airstrikes. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Showers are going to work their way in on Saturday, a rumble of thunder as well, but there is no severe weather threat on Saturday, but just get ready to work around that rain. A break in the rain Sunday afternoon, but then severe weather expected Sunday night.
The Wellness Institute of Nashville, they're ready to help you get out there, get living again, because you've got that back pain and you've let it disrupt your life. Don't let it. Right now, they've got the Big 47 offer going on. That is 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Why? In honor of the 47th president. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley are going to take care of you. First things first, you go in there, you're going to be made comfortable. Then what happens, you're going to get a full consultation, right? An exam, x-rays, if you got MRIs, bring them. Then it's about finding out, okay, look, you've tried all these other things. We don't have creams. There's no magic voodoo, any of that stuff. They've got technology that's going to help open up the disc, get him all the nutrients it needs, and get you back. They're going to build a plan back for your back, and that's what matters. So you're going to build back thanks to our good buddies over at Nashville Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today, tell them I sent you, and get back out there, living life. Don't let this slow you down. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. Thunderstruck. I was looking at that Justin Pearson stuff. Man, he is he's angry. Memphis has an issue with guns. But we never talk about people. Right? Like, look, people that do the right thing will sometimes snap and they will do something with a gun. And you wish that bad people didn't get weapons. I think we can all wish that. But we always talk about, oh, let's take away the tool. It's just something. My phone is sitting there. If a gun was sitting there, they're both doing the same thing. Nothing. Unless somebody picks them up and uses them.
I can't understand the heartbreak of having a family member commit suicide like he had to go through. But he's coming at it from the angle of, if I took guns away from everybody else, my brother would still be alive.
Yeah.
No, your brother probably would not still be alive.
Like if he would have jumped off a bridge, you're like, we need bridge control.
Right.
That was a mental health issue. Somebody got so desperate that they decided that they were going to end their life. And it's horrible. It's sad. It's all of the things. But when you go and look at gun control and you start talking about this, what is it always about? We're going to take away this. We're going to take away that. We want to restrict here. That never stops the bad guys from getting bad things. You know? It never does. And we're still not talking about fathers in the home, because I can almost guarantee it to a T, most of the reason, when you look at gun violence, the other day in New Mexico, what was there? There was a mass shooting. Very little about it. So you had 3 people, I think, killed. 3 people killed, 14 injured. Here's the ages: 20, 17, and 14. You think they got good male role models? No. They were young men who bumped into each other. Then there was beef. And the next thing you know, they started taking out guns. And instead of fist fighting or breakdancing, I don't know, whatever you want to do, they said, well, let's just shoot each other. And it's always the people that are shooting at you. They never get injured. They never get hit. It's always the innocent bystanders. It would be great if we lived in a utopia where it's all fluffy and fun and all of the things, but it's not. And I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment. And that was put there, again, not to protect our homes, but to protect us from, I don't know, the potential of an overbearing government and us. And just in case one day somebody decides to come here from a faraway land, they will be met on the shores by guys in big trucks.
A gun behind every blade of grass, as
That's
the
right.
Japanese said.
You ever seen that comic talking about, like, I'll tell you what, if we do get invaded, I'm going to go to the South, because the minute somebody comes on the shores, they're going to find out these guys have been waiting for this.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm a huge believer in the Second Amendment. But like everything, we have now decided that the tool, the weapon, the whatever is a problem. And yeah, are there places, I will tell you, when I went to Arizona, coming from California, I was shocked how easy it was in certain places to get. There was a guy down the street for the entire time I lived there. He was selling guns out of his garage. He had big signs everywhere. Come to Bob's garage. Get yourself a gun. It was a little shocking. No, I'm not going to lie to you. That was like, he didn't do too much, like, hey, are you on the FBI list for anything? It wasn't a lot of that. But again, it's still, the person has to use it. It doesn't use itself. And as horrible as it is that Justin's brother committed suicide, getting in the streets, talking to people is great. You know where else need to go? You need to go talk to people about having responsibility. And if you're going to bring a child into this world, that you're there for them. And that includes men. Because like I said, if you go to jails, a vast majority of the males in there, they don't have role models. They came from broken homes. And this is, well, it's the result that their actions. It's a result of a lot of that stuff. It's about personal responsibility. It's about we've decided the family means very little, especially men in this country, which is a shame. And it's frustrating. It is so frustrating because I'm sitting there and I was watching some of this stuff and they start going at it. And I'm like, and it wasn't meant to be a personal attack. And you would be hyped up too if your brother committed suicide. You would be. And no, I don't want people who are mentally ill to have guns. I don't think anybody does. But that wasn't the reason he killed himself. It wasn't like the gun talked him into it. So, I just saw Pete Hegseth that he gave a little, what was it he gave? He gave a little speech there. Got his hat on.
He was answering some questions.
Is he? Are you going to resign? Were you drinking? You think that was one of the things that he was talking about? I'm sure they hit him up with.
Oh, I'm sure.
The Drudge Report has, like, on the front cover, it has him, like, all drunk, like, drinking and stuff because,
Because nobody ever does that.
No. Drudge is not a fan of Trump. They've had some sort of falling out for whatever reason, but it's interesting. I mean, the gate. Oh, what do you think about the Signal Gate? I think it's a clown show. I think that's exactly what it was. I don't think it was anything nefarious. I think it was a clown show. I'm not worried about whether or not China got any information that was going to change. And if there are supposedly, the Jeffrey Goldberg didn't publish a few of the things because some of them had agents that were in the field. And because of that, he didn't publish their names. So, okay. Does that tell the story? Because Ken and I were both looking about, they said that he told everybody when the time was going to be, when there was going to be an attack. But from what I've seen so far, it looks like he told them as it had already just happened. And do I think anybody's going to go? Nah, I don't think anybody's going to go. I don't. So, and there wasn't war plans. And I'm trying to figure out, because I asked somebody this yesterday, a liberal, I said, well, what were the war plans to? And they're like, well, not to Yemen. We didn't invade Yemen. We didn't move specifically troops over there, as Ken has pointed out 400 times. These people are all in the region. We didn't do any of that stuff. We lit them up with some missiles. We might have droned them. I'm not quite sure exactly what we used. Outside of that, there wasn't plans. It wasn't some intricate thing. This wasn't Risk. Remember the game Risk? It wasn't that. But it was embarrassing. That's the big thing. It's embarrassing. You look like idiots. The left was looking for you guys to do something clown showy, and it happened. So take responsibility. You move on from this, and I'm sure in the next 24 hours, something crazy will happen, and everybody will be like, oh, my God, I forgot all about that. Because here's the thing. The minute they realize nobody's going to get fired, no matter how hard they press, they're going to get bored. And they'll move on, which is what I think most people would like them to do. Because it's still about one thing, the economy. That's it, the economy. Keep the economy going strong. And Trump he's got splaining to do. There's no doubt. We talked about it yesterday. Consumer confidence and worry, the metrics that they're looking at now is at the lowest place it's been in 12 years. You have to come out and you have to talk to the people. And you have to tell them, look, we are going to have some struggles. We're going to have some bumps in the road, turbulence, whatever you want to do. We're going to get to where we're going. And on the other side, it's going to be a lot better. But it's not going to be perfect. So if you're looking for the smoothest ride in the world, it isn't going to happen. But we are going to we're doing stuff at a fast pace. And I think that terrifies people. You think about what we had with Biden, which was nothing. Nothing. And most presidents, by the way. It's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of debating. It's a lot of arguing and backroom, stuff that you don't see where they arm twist and they horse trade. It's a lot of that stuff. And then a few things get done. It's glacial speed. We're going to make a deal. It's like that. And Trump comes in and he's like, we're just going to executive order the hell out of all these things, and we'll see where you stand. And it's moving at breakneck speed. So when you're not used to, it's a shock. It's totally shocking. You ever? Every once in a while, I love to go look at old baseball statistics just because I find it fascinating when you go back and you're like, this guy pitched 140 games. But you go look at the home run leader before Babe Ruth had 9. You're like, whoa, that guy's he's a big hitter. Then Babe Ruth comes in, it's 45. And it was a shock to the world. It's the same thing. Trump shocked everybody. Eventually, this too will die down. The one thing, I read something in the Wall Street Journal that it's not just a situation where the Democrats can take advantage of some of this stuff. It's also a situation where they think some Republicans who are worried about some of the stuff, the executive orders and overreach, where they may say, all right, this clown show can't go on. We're going to rein some stuff in, and they're going to use it as well. It's possible. It is. A lot of you texting in. I seem to talk down to my audience. Do I talk down to my audience?
No, I don't think so.
It's okay. This guy's or gal's messaged twice. He messaged Dan, said Dan's the worst talk show host ever. Can't believe he won a Marconi. And I talked down to the audience. You know what I'd rather win than a Marconi? A macaroni.
With cheese?
With cheese. Kraft, though. I don't want any of the other crap. You ever go somewhere and they give you macaroni and cheese, and you're like, oh, we've made it ourselves. And you're like, ugh. Give me Kraft. Stick to it. Coming up, more stuff. More tariffs. Ooh, very exciting. We got some stuff on immigration as well. And yes, we have more craziness because you guys liked the last hour. We got a lot more of that. Where'd that come from? Oh, boy. It's Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Why do you need gold? Because times are unsteady. When do you buy protection for stuff, right? Like let's just say for the sake of argument, you're going to go out on a boat. Do you go, oh, the boat sank. I should probably go get myself a life raft. Buy one of those. Too late. So you get it early. Gold is made to move. The opportunity is still there, though, because of the uncertainty in the world. You've worked hard for everything, your investment, your 401k, and you're saying to yourself, what can I do to hedge against the potential for inflation, a weakening dollar? We can go on and on. Gold will help you get there. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. They're going to send you out an investor kit, talk to you why. Hey, let me tell you why this is good. I buy my gold from them. My family does, and you should as well. They're not going to high-pressure sales you, do anything like that. They want to show you how you can move over 401k or an IRA into a gold-backed IRA at no cost to you and why it's important to diversify. Text the word Benson now to Birch Gold. And when you do, just 989898, Benson, boom, out comes the investor kit. It's that simple. Text the word Benson to 989898 for Birch Gold.
Tension is high in the Tennessee General Assembly. We'll let you hear what went down before a confrontation between two representatives. Coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
New York Attorney General Letitia James is joining a chorus of voices warning millions of users to delete their data and destroy DNA samples held by 23andMe. It comes after 23andMe declared bankruptcy, raising concerns over whether the genetic testing company can protect its customers.
This bankruptcy announcement is certainly a privacy nightmare for consumers. DNA data is some of the most sensitive data that any of us ever create about ourselves.
Absolutely is. And people, it's funny. Everybody thinks, well, who would want to steal my DNA? Like, what are they going to make? Another one of me? That's like rebuilding a Pacer or Pinto. That's just silly. It's a better Pinto. No, there's no such thing as a better Pinto. I see you laughing at there.
I'm just imagining somebody getting smacked in the ass and then exploding.
Like, it's ridiculous. You know what it's about, though? Think about this. Why healthcare information is the most sought after information. Like, everybody's worried about, like, Elon's going to steal my Social Security check. You guys, if you're really that worried, you should worry about all the stuff they can look at when it comes to your healthcare. Why? Because they could get it to your employers. They could get it to the pharmaceutical companies. They could get it to DARPA. Well, what would DARPA do with it? Well, they could say, oh, cool, we got somebody's DNA. We got a whole bunch of DNA. Now we can practice bioweapons to see how it would react. Or when it comes to, your employer buying people's health care and DNA off. Oh, this guy's successful. His family's got heart issues. They've got issues with diabetes. Oh, this person would drive up my insurance. People have no idea why it's like that valuable. I always, when you're younger, you think, well, it's just, they're going to just replicate me. Like, no, this isn't Gattaca or one of those weird movies. It's not that. It's a real issue, and it is the most wanted issue. Your DNA is better than your fingerprint. I mean, it's incredible because your fingerprint tells you who you are. They got to do the rest of the research. They can find out everything about you and about your family just from those things. That's why it's important. And for whatever reason, I'm still not sure because I've heard like 10 different things why they've gone bankrupt. Mismanagement, probably one of them. But is this, people are scared because now they can't access this stuff. And you should be worried about it. 100%. So, I see that there was definitely some issues with the Hegseth thing, and we've got some of that audio. We'll play it here in a little bit, see if he said anything new. I like when they say he's embattled. He's been there for like 4 weeks.
He's under fire.
How embattled could he be?
He's embattled, under fire, taking heat, doubling down.
Ooh, double down. I like that. He's not going anywhere, people. He's dug his heels in. This is it. Here, if he was a pain in the butt to Trump would get rid of him. He would use even if this stuff kind of didn't happen, the minute that you have an opportunity to get somebody out in a situation like this, you'd blow him out. Even if he wasn't even involved in this. He didn't even know the text was going on. But if you love a person and you fought hard to get him in, you're not going to get rid of him. You're just not. He isn't going anywhere. And unless there was some sort of egregious thing. But somebody texted and said, you guys would do this to Democrats too. Nah, because it's too boring, to be honest with you. I really don't care. And the Hillary stuff is different. Hillary did things that she wasn't supposed to do, and she was told not to do it. She continued to do it.
Allegedly, willfully.
Yes. So, like, if tomorrow something else comes out that these guys were doing this again, that's a different story. Now, you're like, okay, first time you were idiots. This is a willful thing. You're doing this having been told no. That's different. And you didn't destroy anything, which was the other side of it. Because we forget about that part of, oh, yeah, she did that. She did that indeed. So we've got some of that coming up. We've also got, a bunch of wacky stuff still for Ken. Because I find the wacky stuff. I like crazy and crazy's outdone itself today. We got some neat stuff about DEI and how through free speech, with the help of somebody like Robbie Starbuck, that it's been crushed. And it's very interesting as well. We got some immigration updates. Follow along across all of our social media. We're on 4 platforms, hopefully to be 5, Rumble at some point in time. We're on Twitch, which I've never been to yet. We are on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So check that out. And you can always text the program. We'd love to hear from you. Text number is
615-737-WWTN or 9986.
Yeah, don't put the W's in there. That's going to mess everything up. People can be like, what? You got to go there and find the W? Where's the W at? Yeah, don't. Just give them the number. That's simple and easy. Ken's got the news straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Tennessee, tension running high in the General Assembly today. Lawmakers over at the state capitol had to pull Memphis State Rep Justin Pearson away from Sevierville Republican State Rep Andrew Farmer after Pearson's gun control bill failed in the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee. Pearson had spent about a minute and a half screaming at Farmer.
Doing the hard work of making sure that our state is not the state that it can be because you have decided.
Representative Pearson.
Reality of our situation is only to be.
Representative Pearson.
Well, after Pearson stopped shouting, the vote on the bill was held.
The noes prevail. House Bill 1392 fails.
And that's when Pearson strolled up to Farmer, shouting and pointing at him. House Majority Leader William Lamberth and Democrat Bo Watson had to restrain Pearson. Right now in our nation's capital, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told today's briefing that President Trump stands firmly behind National Security Advisor Mike Waltz after Waltz mistakenly added a reporter to a group chat among top administration officials regarding pending military action against Houthi terrorists who had been disrupting shipping channels in the Red Sea.
We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread. There were no locations, no sources, or methods revealed, and there were certainly no war plans discussed.
One thing that Leavitt did not say, she did not say whether anyone would be fired. Right now in the Middle East, hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza protesting against Hamas for a second day in a row. Men, young and old, marching through neighborhoods in the north and south of Gaza, chanting Hamas out, end the war, even release the prisoners, a reference to the 59 Israeli hostages. Protesters angry, blaming Hamas for the renewal of Israeli airstrikes. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah. So Pete Hegseth, standing in front of military machinery as the planes fire up, got the hat on, looking like he's mean business, getting ready to text everybody the war plans to invade Myanmar or Burma, depending on who you're talking to.
It'll always be Burma to me.
Always Burma. Let's hear what he had to say over because apparently that's the best place to always do some sort of press conference.
Nobody's texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day. I looked at them this morning. I looked at attack plans this morning. You know who does attack plans and war plans? Men like that admiral right there, Paparo for the Indo-Pacific, or Eric Kurilla, our general in CENTCOM. They do attack plans and war plans. And thank God we have those leaders who do it and do it well, and our enemies know it. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did. That's my job. The war fighters will take the fight to the enemy, and I love what they do. And with President Trump's leadership, our enemies are on notice. We will have peace through strength, and we'll keep putting our troops first.
That's right. They're on notice because we've texted them with the thing that says, if you'd like to stop receiving these texts, reply with stop.
It's not going to go away.
If you'd like to stop receiving these bombs.
Oh, my Lord. That is so. No, it's not going to go away.
I mean, it'll die down. There will be something else that comes up. But, it's a mistake, and they're going to have to weather it. I mean, Democrats are going to do exactly what Republicans
as the
did
Republicans should.
Yep.
I mean, if you didn't do this, if you didn't take this out, if you were a Democrat and you didn't take this opportunity, especially when you're hearing about the fact that they have no fight to them, that they are basically, they're out there pretending to cuss, as Van Jones said. Watching them curse is hilarious because they're not used to it. And it looks stupid. It's like when my mom says a bad word. It sounds like she made a mistake and it's embarrassing. I'm like, don't, just don't. And they're trying to, this faux kind of masculinity and with Trump. Trump says bad words all the time. You know when he started saying bad words? When he was born. So it's not, you look at him, he says something bad, you're like, that's what he says. That's who he is. And so they don't seem like they have a fight. And Ken's right, man. If you don't do this, you're weak. You're so weak. The problem is it's only got so much legs. Because this wasn't China or Russia.
No.
This wasn't Canada, because I hear we're going to invade them.
Looks like the mission succeeded.
Yeah.
We didn't have any casualties.
No. I didn't expect any.
And he was correct in saying it is his job to update the administration.
Well, good.
Unfortunately, you had a reporter in the thread.
Who also updated the administration. And it's not going to go away because we just think the whole thing of you guys being a clown show at this point in time is hilarious. Run at it, own it, walk on. Look, guys, this is what happened. We screwed up. Jack the Pooch. We absolutely made a mistake. We're moving on with our lives. If you don't have any real questions, there's nothing more I can say about it. You guys have seen it all. I don't know what else there is to say. Okay. And then they'll look around, and then they'll be like, and then something will happen the next day or so. Trump will say something. He'll offend somebody. Somebody will get their pearls all, they're holding them in a clutch, and then away we move off from this. Speaking of that, Trump making people mad because of that evil 2 letters, ID.
It now requires an ID when you register to vote through a number of sort of paperwork that is accepted. That includes a passport. It includes a driver's license. But what experts are pointing out is that it notably doesn't include a birth certificate. So what we're really hearing a lot from experts is about this ID requirement here. They're saying that it would make a number of eligible Americans now ineligible to vote because half of Americans, we're told, actually don't have a United States passport.
I have a passport somewhere. I don't know what it is. I think I need to update it. Isn't the whole was that Real ID? Isn't that supposed to handle everything?
No, that's only for inside the country.
Yeah, but wouldn't this handle that kind of thing too? Because you have to show them your birth certificate. So it's like having an inside the country.
I don't know, because the passport is one of the IDs you can use to get a real ID, but you have to have a couple or three different. It's ridiculously complex for no reason.
Yeah, it's very, very, very complex. When we flew out of. It's funny, when we flew out of here, nobody said anything because we said our regular IDs. When we flew back, they handed it to you. You better get a real ID by May 1st or you can't fly. I'm like, okay. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that here at 4:30 in the morning at the airport? Tell me, sir, what am I supposed to do, TSA guy?
Yeah, show me where the kiosk is to fix this.
Yeah. It's, I'm, because I know that, and there's a rush to get it. There's a rush to get the real ID. And by the way, there's a rush to get it. Let's see, when did this happen? This was 2001, and then they passed this in 2005, and 20 years later, we're finally getting to it. How many times has this been kicked further and further away? And now try to get if you've lost, how many, do you even know where your birth certificate is?
Yes.
Yeah. Most people somewhere in the house maybe?
It's actually in my, it's in my backpack.
Just in case.
Just in case, I never know what I'm going to need to prove on me.
But most people don't carry their birth certificate because they're not insane. Ken, do you know where your birth certificate is? You probably couldn't find it. Maybe. Your wife may know where it's at. My mom may have mine. I don't, it's like, I don't know. When's the last time I needed it? Outside of a passport years ago, I can't remember the last time I went somewhere and here's my birth certificate. So
you're supposed to have proof of U.S. citizenship or legal status, proof of your social security number, and 2 proofs of Tennessee residency, all of which must be original or certified.
Now, 2 proofs of Tennessee. Can your license be one of those?
I think your license can be one, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think if you have an electric bill, utility bill, or something like that, they'll accept that as another.
Okay. Somebody says, I know you can get your birth certificate online now. You can get that. But certain places, too, try getting your birth certificate. It takes months at the rate they go. Because you know how efficient they all are. And they're not very efficient, is what we're trying to say. And nor do I expect them to be efficient. It's a sad situation it's taken this long to get to this situation. And now you've got to go through it. And I think there's actually an upgrade of the Real ID. I don't know if you've seen this. And it's basically, it allows you to travel a little bit easier to a few places. But, and I don't know, maybe you don't have to take your shoes off. I don't know. It's weird. Some airports make you take your shoes off. Others don't. We didn't have to take our shoes off here.
It's just more TSA garbage.
Oh, God. Well, they're stopping people.
There's no purpose for that agency to even exist.
There is zero purpose for that agency to exist. If you want to have special people who are working underneath the airplane, TSA-wise, because I worry more about what goes on underneath the airplane as far as who could sneak something on, I got no problems with that. But stopping nobody is what you guys do. I mean, when's the last time whenever we hear about it, it's always on the airplane that something happens. Well, you missed your opportunity there, which is frustrating. It's time for more. Oh, Ken, we got all kinds of crazy stuff for you. Are you guys ready for this? How about this one here, kids? More crazy stuff. We love crazy stuff on Wednesdays. We call it Woke Wednesday, where you have a bunch of weird, wacky people. This person here is, just having a conversation with, MAGA folk.
All right, I keep seeing videos about how to engage with Trump supporters and bridge that gap and have some open dialogue. So I've come up with a list of questions, conversation starters. Let me know what you think. Have you always been a Nazi sympathizer? Do you enjoy living in a constant state of hypocrisy? Is it weird that your mom is also your cousin?
Really? You think that's going to work? Is it weird that your mother's also your cousin? That's a perfect example when the left wonders why they can't win. If that's the way that many supporters really feel, and there are some out there, again, mostly young women, you're not going to win. You're going to continue to have the big L over and over again. Do you live in a world in a state of hypocrisy? I'm like, really? Is that what you think? That everybody's freaking out in the state of hypocrisy that you live in, and your cousin is your mother, who also happens to be your father? What do you think apples that are those apples? I don't. I don't think that at all. Are you sure? It's just such a joke. And finally, the NPR thing. So they got the lady from NPR today because they're getting grilled, right? Like, should they get public money? And we know it's going to go away. And they're going to do, Doge is going to say eliminate it. There's going to be lawsuits. It's going to go to court. That's the way this is going to work. You guys recognize that. But there's some receipts from some of the things that they have said.
Do you believe that looting is morally wrong?
I believe that looting is illegal, and I refer to it as counterproductive. I think it should be prosecuted.
Do you believe it's morally wrong, though?
Of course.
Of course. Then why did you refer to it as counterproductive? It's a very different way to describe it.
It is both morally wrong and counterproductive, as well as being
You tweeted, it's hard to be mad about protests in reference to the BLM protests, not prioritizing the private property of a system of oppression. You didn't condemn the looting. You said that it was counterproductive. NPR also promoted a book called In Defense of Looting. Do you think that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars?
I'm unfamiliar with that book, sir, and I don't believe that was at my time
You
at
tweeted
NPR.
that you read that book, but
I don't believe that I did read that book.
Well, I've read a lot of books. You've read a lot of books about looting? How do you feel about looting? Think it's not a good thing, sir?
Nip it in the bud.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's, you know what, when I was in 92, when I was in the riots, I didn't participate. My mother had a company. We had to go out and board up a lot of stuff. And at the time it was pick and save, and then it became Big Lots. Watching people, it was like watching Piranha dismantle something. So we go, and she had a big glazing company, and she had all these huge, customers, 7-Elevens and all these things. So we go and we board everything up because they're hoping nobody's going to do anything. And these people, they all sat around. They were nice. They didn't try to get in our way. They didn't try to break in. And they actually asked us, are you guys done? And we were there for a couple hours putting all these boards up. Watching the minutes, and this was after the acquittal of Rodney King. This wasn't the Rodney King riots happened because of the tape. This was the acquittal. Watching people take apart this pick and save, a.k.a. the Big Lots, and within about an hour, there was virtually nothing in there. It was amazing. And it was justice for Rodney. I didn't know if they were bringing it over to his house or what they were doing with it, but it was surreal to watch.
For everything looted, it was every time you loot something, it takes away one of those Billy Club strikes on him.
No, it does. Yeah, that didn't. I mean, it was nobody in the world thought that was right. It was awful. We all understood the Rodney King thing. The reaction was horrific. And it really crushed the city. And what I don't think people realize in situations like that, they burned down an area that was already struggling, which was their areas. And when you go down there today, some 30 years later, you know what? A lot of that stuff was never rebuilt. People pulled out, or they didn't have the money, and they just left it. And that's sad. Coming up, a lot more crazy stuff. Man, if you think crazy ended there, I got more crazy stuff coming up that I know you guys will laugh at because, you know what? I aim to please. And that's what we do here. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycons. Wear them every single day. And they've got active noise cancellation, the everyday earbuds. It's great. So if you want to quiet, they've got that. They've got awareness mode. They have all these great things. The fit, the feel, the comfort is awesome. And I'm on and I use my Raycons all the time because I'm doing tons of stuff, whether I'm editing video or whether I'm doing a podcast here or there, and I've got to be connected to two things at once. It's got multi-connectivity. But the thing that I think is the most amazing is quick charging. What that means is you plug it in for every 10 minutes that it charges, you get 90 minutes of listening time. It charges so fast, and it is incredible. If you want the best sound quality, the best fit, the best feel at a price that will not break the bank, 30-day happiness guarantee, it is the everyday earbuds from Raycon. Get yours now. Save 20% as well. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will tell you what he told reporters moments ago when he was asked about that group chat after landing in Hawaii. We'll tell you about it at 2. Let you hear it on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I wish you would have just said, meh, 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 meh. You guys got anything else to say? Just totally act like a child. Meh, 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 meh. Oh, my God, I can't believe that somebody was on a group chat. You guys haven't done that? You haven't sent it like, hey, ladies, what's going on? You're like, oh, my God, that's not my girlfriend text. It's kind of what we did, except for war.
That's not my girlfriend. That was my wife.
She's going to be so mad at me. Oh, we need more fun when it comes to stuff like this, not less fun. Speaking of fun, kids, I think this is child abuse.
What age do you think most trans kids determine that they're trans?
Violet told us when she was 1.5. She's been telling us since she could speak. So she knew since birth.
Really? Did she? Did she?
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Hey, what happened to your kid? Our kid really thought she was a mermaid. She was 2. She couldn't swim. But you know what? She lived her best life, and she lived an authentic life. You're the parent. Act like it.
Yeah, she lived a most authentic life, even though she drowned trying to breathe underwater.
Because she's not a mermaid.
Wow.
Right? Like, that's insane. That is insane. And so many people, parents, I want to seem like I'm doing the right thing because that's the in thing, right? It used to be getting into a great college. That's why all those people got in trouble for buying their way into colleges, which I didn't care about.
People used to brag about their kids getting into Brown, Harvard, or Yale, and now they brag about their kids being trans.
Yeah, now they brag about their kids, the fact that, hey, my kid, Timmy used to have a vagina, doesn't anymore. What do you think of those apples? I'm putting that on the gram.
Man.
Isn't that insane? I used to tell her, Jack wanted to be a fire engine when he was a kid. Not a fireman. He wanted to be a fire engine.
And you didn't respect his choice?
I did. I tore up a whole bunch of metal things. I tried to glue it onto his body and nail it on and stuff. And I'm like, I am respecting his choice.
We put tires on his feet.
We cut off his hands and replaced him with hoses. He's living his best life now in a wheelchair.
Oh, man.
They knew it, too. They knew at birth. They don't know anything.
No.
They know nothing, nor should they. They're 2.
They eat, cry, and defecate.
That's it. I mean, giving him that kind of power is, you're just, what if your kid came up? I'm trans. You're not. And we move on. There you go. And if you're 21 and you say that and you go, I'll live your best life, I'll support the hell out of you. I got 0 problems with that. Nobody should have any problem with that. If you're an adult, you want to do something, you're not hurting somebody else, knock yourself out. But if your 2-year-old comes to you today and says, I'm a mermaid, or I think I'm Aquaman, and you don't respect their rights, what are they going to do when child services come over? What happened to your kid? Well, thought he was Aquaman. He wasn't. But you know what? Lived his best authentic life. Clowns. Coming up, 3rd hour of the show. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth moments ago responding to questions from a reporter about a reporter mistakenly included to the group chat he and other top administration officials were on before airstrikes on Houthi terrorists last weekend.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
His job?
As it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now. Team update is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time. Keep everybody informed. That's what I did. That's my job.
Meanwhile, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told today's White House briefing President Trump stands firmly in support of National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, who mistakenly added The Atlantic chief editor Jeffrey Goldberg to that chat. But Leavitt did not say whether no one will be fired over it. Here in Tennessee,
Doing the hard work of making sure that our state is not the state.
Memphis Democrat State Rep Justin Pearson shouting at Sevierville Republican State Rep Andrew Farmer for about a minute and a half before he quieted it down, and the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee voted to kill Pearson's gun control bill.
Noes prevail. House Bill 1392 fails.
That's when Pearson strolled right up to Farmer, resumed shouting and pointing in Farmer's face, with other lawmakers, including Democrats, intervening to separate Pearson from Farmer, who remained calm, sitting down. Right now in the Middle East, Jordana Miller is in Jerusalem.
Hundreds of Palestinians in Gaza protesting against Hamas for a second day in a row, what is a rare show of defiance against the terror group. Men, both young and old, marching through neighborhoods in the north and south of Gaza, chanting, "Hamas out, end the war, even release the prisoners." That's a reference to the 59 Israeli hostages. Protesters angry, blaming Hamas for the renewal of Israeli airstrikes.
Right now in Nashville, Metro Health says there's no case of measles in Davidson County currently, but it is prepared to respond in case there is.
9 out of 10 people who are exposed to it will get infected with the virus. The vaccine is safe and effective and is our primary way of preventing the spread of measles in the community.
That official telling Channel 4, if you want the vaccine, you can walk in or make an appointment at any Metro Health Department clinic. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I was watching this flipping around on Reels or one of those things, and I see these giant men coming out of this AC/DC thing, and I see this little person back there, and I thought, oh, who's that little lady? It was Angus.
He does look like an old woman.
He looks like a little old lady. How tall? He can't be more than a foot tall.
No, he's very short. I've met him, and I'm 6'1", and he was significantly shorter than I was.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised at. I was like, wow, and he does not look. He's like, hello there, like, phew, goodness me. Somebody said, Chad, when Hillary did what she did with her emails, did that have a significant play in your life? No. By the way, 99% of this crap, and nobody cares. It's very little play in your life. It's not going to affect you. We didn't give away war plans. But here's the thing. Hillary wanted to be president of the United States. Hillary knowingly was on a server that she shouldn't have been on, hadn't been warned 100 times. Hillary destroyed stuff. I know it was mostly Groupons and information about her daughter's wedding. But that is, if you're going to go by, on a law, the reality is that she broke the law. And she did it knowingly. If she would have been on something and they said you need to move it over and she moved it over immediately, no big deal. That's not a big deal. But she knowingly did it. She continued to do it. There is a difference between knowing and making a mistake. Now, maybe they find out that this guy really did something that was, somebody added somebody here and tried to, maybe. But will it have an effect on your life? No. So much of this crap will never have an effect on your life. That's just the reality of politics. Is a soap opera. It is theatrics. It is kabuki theater. It is all of the things. It's like, oh, look at me. Even today, right? So just Pearson down there, the Capitol, big gun debate. Listen to him. Listen to him. There's no doubt his brother committed suicide, as people found out today, which, by the way, apparently nobody knew his brother committed suicide. That's why he's been gone.
First I heard of it.
So you can't blame people who didn't know that your brother committed suicide. But when you listen to him, how much of this is theatrics?
We need to do something about the gun violence epidemic. We have the power to do something about the gun violence epidemic, and we don't just have to offer some empty thoughts and prayers.
I don't think it's fair for you to come in front of this committee and lecture us on hard work and convictions and hard work for our committee. So when I understand where you're at and what you're doing and why, but at the end of the day, we've been here working.
It is a pathetic excuse for you to not answer the question of why we are doing nothing about the gun violence epidemic than to personally attack me. But let me explain to you what I have been doing, Representative, since you asked. My brother, Temperance Darnell Pearson, one of the loves of my life, passed away from gun suicide on December 1st of 2024.
And then it started to escalate from there. Then they got into each other. It was his faces. It was all theatrics. And I'm not saying he doesn't have an emotion. Your brother commits suicide. Like Bill said last hour, you can't quantify what that does to somebody, especially if you're close to him. I mean, my goodness me. Yeah, of course it's pain. But you're there and you start to get into it and you start to chastise a bunch of people because you're looking for likes and clicks and you're looking for something. And I'm not saying he's not serious about all this stuff. And I'm not saying that he doesn't, feel, because of course he does. But it's that celebrity thing that I've been talking about. We have a generation of politicians who are very interested in saying things that will get them noticed, saying things that will get them likes, saying things that will get them, people talking about them. Case in point, this here's Jasmine Crockett, who's become quite the in front of the world, saying all kinds of stuff, trying to, gravitate towards Marjorie Taylor Greene and Boebert and, of course, AOC and them getting themselves out there, becoming, as I like to call, celebrities. They're politicians, but they like being a celebrity more than they like being a politician.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey. So yes. Right, okay. All right, I'm going to move on. Cause
She's going to move on. Now, who's she talking about? She's talking about the governor of Texas, who's in a wheelchair. And then she tried to explain it off as some weird kind of, well, I meant planes and trains and automobiles and shipping migrants and illegal aliens to black neighborhoods so they could, it was so convoluted. It was a lie.
Abbott needs to completely embrace that title and put some pinstriping and some racing flames on his wheelchair.
Absolutely should have. Maybe one of those little flags with the orange flag and zip around.
But lean into it.
Why'd she do that? Because she wants people to notice her. She wants people to talk about her. Why does Justin Jefferson do a lot of stuff? Because, yes, do I think he cares about these things? He's out there working in the community. Well, then you know what? You need to be out there talking about fathers. You need to be out there talking about education. You need to be talking about those things which are going to decrease gun violence more than trying to take guns off the street. Taking guns off the street isn't going to do what you think it's going to do, because you're only going to take guns away from people who are willing to go, yeah, okay, you know what? I could see why you do this. You're looking for people to pay attention to you, and that's what we've built up. We've built up a way to reward people through likes, through clicks. It gets their endorphins going. The next thing you know, people are worried about what the online world is saying. You may represent 50,000 people, but you care more about the 500,000 followers you have, of which very few of them you actually represent. And that's right there the issue. You see this going on with all these town halls. Vast majority of these people they're not even in the area that the rep, both right and left, California, they're crushing the left in California. Doesn't matter. They're going there. They're making noise because they want to be loud, be heard. It's all about look at me, look at me. They're not interested in having conversations or dialogue or trying to figure stuff out, because we live in a culture now where everything changed the minute we put the camera on front of the phone. The world became much different. Here's Van Jones talking about Ms. Crockett.
She's new, she's young, and she's trying to find her way. I think that this party is scrambling, trying to seem tough. And I'm seeing this party traffic in a lot of curse words. That's supposed to be like the new cool thing to do. I don't think that's going to be as useful. I've even heard Pete Buttigieg with a whole bunch of curse words. I don't know who gave that memo. I don't think that's very useful. I think you have to be very careful when you're talking about people with disabilities. And I don't think she was careful.
No, she wasn't careful because she didn't want to be. Being careful is, okay, I'm going to actually watch my words here. She purposely did this because being careful wouldn't get people paying attention and wouldn't get people talking. And the one thing that the Democrats have right now is the fact that they're a hot mess. They're looking for something, right? They don't know what it is. They can't figure it out. They have they've got zero, their rudder's broken. They're in a whirlpool and it's spinning and picking up. I mean, they're a hot mess. And you look over there and you say, okay, well, what about AOC and Bernie? They're not the leaders. They want to be. And their message, to a certain extent, is a message that, look, they're talking to the same people that Trump won. People who went to junior college, right? People who went to trade school, the middle class in this country. They're talking a lot about that to them. It is the cultural issues that turn a lot of people off. And they also don't want to turn things into a class warfare. A lot of friends who are plumbers and they own their own companies stuff. They do not begrudge people who are successful. They don't think there should be a cap on the money they make or this, that, and the other. They want their opportunity. They want a fair shake. That's what they want.
I don't know her enough to say she's not being honest, but I'm going to tell you, it sounded bad. And I just want to finish. I think this party is trying to find a way to look tough and to show fight, but this is not the way. I don't think the cursing is going to work. I think I've been on stage and I've gotten a little bit hyped sometimes too. I hope that she will take this as lessons. You talked about learning lessons, that type of stuff. It doesn't sound to me like she's actually taking full responsibility. If that's true, I don't like it, and she can't do that again. She's too important to us to do that again.
Well, she didn't take full responsibility. Like I said, she said, what about this and what about that? And she tried to kick it to the curb, and she goes, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. No, she didn't take full responsibility because she feels she doesn't have to take full responsibility because that would mean that she did something wrong. In her mind, she did everything right.
What I fear is that no lesson could ever be learned as long as you're doing these things in front of audiences who roar when you do it. When you have comedians who are broad messengers for the left making unfair jokes and people are roaring. When you have politicians being vulgar and saying what's the lesson?
What is the lesson? The lesson is keep doing what you're doing. Keep getting people cheering for you. Keep getting people backing you, throwing, money at you. Get people to pay attention to you. And I'm sure it's intoxicating. I remember listening to Matt talking about, I think he went to the Bama game, and I don't know who he was with, but he said, it's interesting because, he was with a politician and they had security, and it was like they gave him like this ring of around them, almost like an invisible force field so they could walk through the crowd. Those kind of things can easily be intoxicating. Being on television shows all day. Walking out and there's 50 cameras and they all want to ask you a question because they're hoping you're going to say something. Now, in saying that, our buddy Lonely Scott over at CNN has something to say.
Yeah, and she tried to walk it back and obviously forgot about her previous commentary using that exact same insult. I don't know how the Democrats came to appoint Jasmine Crockett as the unquestioned leader of your party, but thank God. And I think what she should do is go on TV twice as much as she is right now, maybe 3 times as much, because every time she appears and makes one of these mistakes, says something radical, it only further divides her party from the rest of the other 80% of America who can't stand this. But the problem is there's an audience for it. I heard Jimmy Kimmel's audience cheering on Tesla vandalism. I hear the Daily Show audience cheering on attacks on Elon Musk. I hear the human rights audience cheering on an attack on a man in a wheelchair. And I realize this is what the left has become, an angry mob of people who are cheering on attacks on a guy in a wheelchair and vandalism against people who bought a Tesla. It's pathetic.
It is. And much like we were talking about the whole Signal Gate, whatever the stupid thing it was, reading what J.D. Vance wrote, I think is more of a issue than the stuff that was, bantied back and forth and the war plans or whatever, because it was about Europe and it's how he really feels. And behind closed doors, you're going to say a lot more than you would in front of the camera. And it's the same thing when it comes to the audience. Saying something ridiculous is one thing, but having people cheer it is another thing. I always go back to when Michael Irving broke his neck in Philadelphia and they all cheered. You're like, that's how they really feel. They are awful. Oh, my Lord. A lot of stuff still to squeeze into on this most momentous Wednesday. I got more craziness. If you think that's all the craziness I've got, you are wrong. I got a plenty more. We got some songs. We got some unhinged people. We got all the things, people. If you missed any of the show, grab the podcast. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. You want a second opinion on what's going on in your investments and your retirement? Bulwark Capital is going to deliver that to you. Simple and easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. They're going to walk you through what it is that they do. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility. My buddy Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer, the guy that runs everything over there, he is going to show you why they are not only different, but why it's about building something for you. So many things out there, 401ks, your IRAs, all that kind of stuff. It's so much of it's cookie cutter. They don't know what you want to do with your life. You don't want to unretire. You want to make sure that your investments are working for you. and Bulwark's going to help you get there. Get a free risk review, a.k.a. a second opinion with Bulwark. It doesn't cost anything but a little bit of time. Call 866-779-RISK today. That's 866-779-RISK for Bulwark, or check out everything they do at knowyourriskradio.com, KNOWYouRiskRadio.com. Investment or services provided offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Investments involve all risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24173.
Hundreds of Palestinians taking to the streets of northern Gaza, protesting against Hamas. We'll let you hear some of that at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You can say goodbye to Gatorade, certain kinds of lemonade, even some types of Pop-Tarts if you live in West Virginia. Store shelves and school lunches will soon look a lot different there. That's because the governor has signed a bill that will ban commonly used food dyes and preservatives from red dye number 3 to blue dye number 1.
It is all happening. We're getting rid of all of that stuff. The question is, why? I see getting rid of it in some situations, the candy and stuff like that. But also I look and say, I feel like, okay, we're going to get rid of everything now. Which, look, we got a problem. Can we just be honest? We have way too much crap in our food. And if you know anything about what happened with the tobacco industry, understanding that they weren't selling you tobacco, they were selling you addiction. And the minute they got caught with that, they said, well, where else can we go? Let's go to food. And so much of this crap that's in there that makes our food taste great, makes our food look great. I mean, half of that stuff's designed to catch your eye. And we got a lot of issues when it comes to the way that we consume. I mean, we consume too much. So much of it. Yeah, if you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're working out a little bit, yes, can you eat better? Everybody, of course you can. But you're kind of at that maintain, you're feeling good. It's about that right level you should be at. But if you are out there and you're eating God knows how much, because I picked up the other day, there was some chips. And have you ever looked and seen, you're like, oh my God, I ate 2 of these cookies. Look how many calories are on there.
No.
You know what they should do is they should put how long you have to be on a treadmill to work a cookie or a donut off. Bet that change your mind. You want this donut hole? That's a 15-minute run uphill. You're like, I'm not eating that. But it tastes good. I would love it if a donut tastes as good as a banana, but it doesn't. I hate bananas. Right? Like
Now,
bells in
Brother
there.
Chad, it lowers your blood pressure.
It does. You know, it's got the potassium in it. I get it. But it's not a donut.
But it's not a donut, baby.
Right? It's not.
You can't dunk it in coffee.
Yes, you can't. No, it's gross.
Yes, you can.
Well, I guess you could.
You're a weirdo, dude.
Yes, correct.
I mean, I would love it. It's like, oh, do you like salads? Only if there's 14 gallons of ranch on it.
That is true.
And a Diet Coke.
And a Diet Coke. Well, I am watching my weight.
The whole purpose of a salad or a baked potato is what you put on top of it.
Yes.
Baked potato serves no other function than to be a sour cream delivery mechanism.
And chili.
Oh, chili, yeah. I mean, yeah, I pretend like I'm eating good. I'm only having one of these things. There's no calories in this. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to pour it right in my mouth. It's just a mechanism to get me crap. And I look at like the red dyes, all that stuff, like the candy, all that crap has a bunch of stuff in it. But are we overdoing it for this? We'll find out. But it's all about addiction. And we are an addiction nation. It's like fentanyl. Fentanyl, that's gone down. Cocaine's gone up. We're on to something new.
Or what is old is new again.
That's right. It's like bell bottoms. You used to do fentanyl, now I do coke. That's the in thing to do. So we'll probably talk a little bit about it in a minute. The quote unquote conservative MAGA folk that got caught pushing the soda snap thing. And, you know, I mean, first of all, if you're going to sell out, do it for more than like $400 or whatever they got for it. But it just shows you, you know, it's like there's always somebody out there willing to do something. Well, who's honestly going to some of these people going, hey, they want to get rid of soda on Snap. Here's $1,000. Make a post. And you're like, who are you representing? Like, of course there's Big Soda because it's addiction. And Big Soda loves Snap. Government's paying for snacks. Do I want the government's out of my life? Yeah. But we need to eat better. Why? Because it's going to be cheaper for us in the long run. You want to know why one of the reasons we're going bankrupt when it comes to Medicare and stuff? Because we get to a certain age and our fat asses can't handle stuff anymore. We have 12 comorbidities.
My grandparents grew their own food. They fried everything, and they lived into their 90s.
But they
grew their own food.
There was no like refined sugar, wacky sugar, like all this other stuff that we put. Like, you ever turn over like wheat bread and it's got like 48 different things on it?
Yeah.
That's not like what is it? I can't even pronounce some of this. Is that cyanide? I saw a thing the other day talking about energy drinks. And they said, you know, that Celsius has more cyanide that you should ingest in. I'm like, wait, what? We're putting that. That's what we put in our bodies. So we got to do better. There's no doubt about that. And getting rid of some of these chemicals is true. But if you're going to sell your soul, guys, do it for more than $400 or $500. That's all I'm saying. Coming up, we got a bunch of stuff talking. I got some of your text messages. We've got lots of wacky sound, including what the Olympics might be doing when it comes to male and female athletes. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Well, the Trump administration still getting questions about the group chat among top national security officials that mistakenly included a reporter. This about the bombing of Houthi terrorists in the Red Sea last weekend. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today in Hawaii.
My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update, is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. that's what I did.
He reported there were no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information on that thread. It's just that a reporter was mistakenly added. Here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Elon Musk has offered to put his technical experts on this to figure out how this number was inadvertently added to the chat. Again, to take responsibility and ensure this can never happen again.
Here in Tennessee,
doing the hard work of making sure that
Memphis Democratic State Rep Justin Pearson shouted for about a minute and a half before he quieted down enough for the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee to vote on his gun control bill.
The noes prevail. House Bill 1392 fails.
That's when Pearson had to be restrained from shouting and putting his hands in the face of Sevierville Republican State Rep Andrew Farmer, whom Pearson has a beef with dating back to last year, when Pearson was expelled from the House for disrupting a hearing by leading a protest against gun rights. And in the Middle East, hundreds of Palestinians taking to the streets of northern Gaza in a rare protest against Hamas. Marchers calling for the terror group to reach a ceasefire deal with Israel and give up control of the Strip to end the war. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Showers are going to work their way in on Saturday, a rumble of thunder as well, but there is no severe weather threat on Saturday, but just get ready to work around that rain. A break in the rain Sunday afternoon, but then severe weather expected Sunday night. Guess what? Plumbing could be crazy. We got big plumbing going on in our apartment building right now. Like, you guys, if you need to call Busy Bee. And think we're going to have to. Absolutely. Why? Because you want somebody you can trust. And Busy Bee you can trust big time. I know the guys over there. They're incredible. And they do not just a hell of a job. Their whole thing is they're going to take care of you from start to finish. But it's about making you feel comfortable what's going on. They're not going to sell you anything you don't need. And that's what I love about them. So whether you have issues with your HVAC or you have issues with your plumbing, let Busy Bee help you. On top of that, a couple inspections a year, you join the Busy Bee, the Beehive Club, guess what happens? Those things are paid for. And it's good to have inspections, right? Get to it early so it doesn't become a problem. So whether it's your HVAC, whether it is your plumbing, you've got a need, they can fill it. Call them today. Join the Beehive Club, 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. You want your dog to be in good health? Rough Greens. Dog food is dead food, and Rough Greens wants to help get your dog healthy and happy. It's great for you. It's great for your pocketbook as well. Less time at the vet. Rough Greens has a 90-day challenge. And first, what they're going to ask you to do is go to roughgreens.com and use my code Chad. They're going to get you out a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens. It is a $20 value. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. From there, it's a 90-day challenge. 1 scoop a day on top of your dog's food. First 30 days, you're going to see a shinier coat, more energy. By day 60, immune system is going to improve. The coat's going to be fuller, less shedding, and then you're going to start to notice joint function is a lot better. That's because of live nutrients. By day 90, heart health is improved. Immune system is strong. The coat is amazing. Energy levels through the roof. It is incredible what this stuff will do for your dog. They'll love the taste. You'll love what it does for them. Try a Jumpstart trial bag for free today and get a Jumpstart trial bag. It's $20 just for a few bucks. And they're also going to have you take the 90-day challenge. And you watch what it does for your dog. You're going to be surprised. You're going to be texting me going, man, I can't believe how amazing this stuff is. Go to roughgreens.com. Use code Chad. Roughgreens.com. Code Chad. You think that song is good. How about this one?
I am who I say I am, and you are who you say you are, and sometimes we are wrong about who we think other people are. That's okay. Don't assume. You can always just ask, which pronouns do you use? He, him, she, her, they, them, these, er. Let me know which one do you prefer?
None. Oh, my Lord. The obsession with, gender's a construct. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. It's a construct, Chad. It's everything's performative.
Gender's a construct, and so is sanity.
Yeah. It's all performative. That was what that Judith lady said back in the day in the 50s or 60s. Like, gender's a construct. It's all performative. You're performing what society wants you to be. You're performing these things. And why this matters isn't this, the sports thing, which, by the way, seems like this could be changing, too.
Cheek swabs and dry blood spot tests for female track and field athletes have been approved by World Athletics, says that governing body's president, saying it's to maintain the integrity of competition. That revives testing discontinued in the 1990s for the presence of a gene that indicates whether the athlete has a Y chromosome present in males. Sebastian Coe says the International Olympic Committee needs to take leadership in the transgender debate instead of letting each individual sport decide their own regulations.
Absolutely. How about this? Cup check. Cup check. There you go. We know now. But it matters because not whether or not, the women's sports, it's about allowing groups of people to tell you this is what you need to do or else. It's the cultural Marxism. It's the lunacy. Most Democrats, by the way, they think this stuff's absurd. They do. They think it's absurd. They think it's ridiculous. It's only the fringe loonies out there who battle all day and it's about women in sports and men in sports and blah. No, it's about the insanity of and I'll tell you this, the gays, they're not fans of this either. My buddy who was my producer of my national show, was at Stonewall. That's kind of like where the civil rights movement began for the gay community. They say it's one letter in our alphabet that is a mess. He says it, not me. He talks about it, how crazy it is. But he says it's pushed on people, and that's the thing that's wrong. And and you're told or else, as if you better do this or else. Now, women's sports, here's a perfect example of a person who's lost the plot. And this is somebody who's pushing an agenda, even though they're not a part of it in many ways. And they're pushing something that's ridiculous. And I agree with her. I would love to get women out of women's sports so men can play and it would be more enjoyable.
Why the actual am I supposed to care whether or not women are playing sports? Why do I care what kind of women are playing sports? Whether or not they're women who are trans, whether or not they're women who are transitioning, whether or not they're women who are intersex, whether or not they're women who are young, old. How many do I give? Oh, the woman who happened to have made it through him by crawling through the muck to become her feminine self. She won? She won the sport thing? How dare I should be upset because she started in a different place. No, I shouldn't let her cross the finish line as a woman. God forbid she be herself when she wins.
Oh. Wow. Kids, if you think, well, man, do you have anything else? Oh, she's got more to say. Oh, yeah.
Why should I care? Who plays in women's sports? You don't watch women's sports. You don't watch women's sports. Why do you care who plays them? Get the out of our locker rooms. Get the out of women's health. Get the out of our lives. Every single woman is a woman. All women are women, regardless of genitalia. Gender is a construct. Why the actual am I supposed to care whether or not women are playing sports?
It did. And the whole thing about...
maybe she should box a man.
Maybe she should. The whole thing about, though, like the you shouldn't care, you should just deal with it. It goes back to, a 15-year-old girl who feels uncomfortable. First of all, every kid feels uncomfortable in their body at that age.
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't have to worry about whether or not you can sympathize with a kid who's 15 and they're going through their gender issue and their mental, but placating them and then telling the girls that they have to do this or else somehow something's wrong with them. Where if anybody else walks in there as a boy, oh my God, people lose their mind. It's ridiculous, and it's that issue right there. It's not sane. It's about forcing people to believe something, to go against your own beliefs, what you see with your own eyes, that people have a problem with. And speaking of insanity, kids, did you know that segregation was back according to the nuts on the internet?
Segregation is no longer illegal. Dude, when are people going to realize his idea of making America great again is de-evolving us?
What? De-evolving us. Did you guys know that? Well, guess what? Luckily, we have a lawyer to tell us what's going on.
It's time to speak up.
She's white, by the way.
They're rolling back segregation. They are rolling back segregation. It is now no longer illegal to require separate facilities for people of different races. To be clear, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is still in place and has not been disbanded.
So right there, you've just destroyed your own argument. I just want to let you know this. You have just ruined your own argument, but I'm going to let you keep talking because in the middle of this, you start crying.
But we know what their goal is. There is always step one in a process, and we absolutely know what their goal is. They are rolling back segregation. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Because this time, white people, we are the ones that are going to be on the front crossing that bridge. Do you hear me? We are the ones that are going to stand in the streets. Our black countrymen have done their time at the front of the lines, and it is our turn. It is our turn to face the water hoses and to face the dogs and to face the tear gas because we have let this happen. Not on my watch.
Nope.
Not while there is breath in me.
Nope.
Will we go back? Is anybody out there with me? Go love your neighbor.
The hell is wrong with you, lady?
Oh, my God.
This was all based on the fact that they got rid of language in something that no longer needed it because it was pre, the Civil Rights Act, and they just moved that out. And it says in there, too, that's because we have the Civil Rights Act and we don't need it. No, everything else is you can't segregate. Are you kidding me?
The left has done more to segregate people than anybody else has with their stupid safe spaces and not allowing whites into certain areas. They're the ones that have been basically demanding resegregation.
Of course they have, because we want people to feel that they have their own space where it's safe and blah blah. That is just nuts. And that lady there lost the plot. First of all, she juxtaposed her position within 2 seconds. Yes. She just wanted to remind everybody that segregation is back and then remind everybody, except for the part where it's illegal. And when I was looking at because comments are the greatest thing in the world. Because they're like, other people are like, there's going to be black and white drinking fountains. And everybody to a T goes, when's the last time you went to a drinking fountain?
Well, they'll have black and white ATMs.
I mean, when's the last time you went when's the last time I was like, I got to go to the whites only drinking fountain?
If you get an Uber, it's going to have to be a black or a white Uber.
Oh, probably. But the whole thing is, there's a perfect example of you read something on the internet. And like when I was talking to these people out here, somebody said that they haven't listened for a couple of days, have been gone. They said, did you go out to the Tesla? I said, yes. And I said, the thing I learned out there that I thought I already knew, but talking to other people, because somebody said earlier, you make fun of the left. I said, I make fun of everybody because it's great. I've been making fun of these idiots all day for texting the wrong people. Bunch of morons they are. Somebody get your head out your butt. Nobody bothered to check who JG was? Is it JG Wentworth? Well, he knows the plans, but he also got us a loan.
That structured settlement got sold.
Structured settlement. Call JG with 877 cash now. But when I was out there talking to people, they go to their echo chamber and they read whatever it is, and they see something like this, and in the article it says segregation is back. And then you read an article and it doesn't say that. But all they needed was the headline. And now it's burned. The indelible imprint of segregation being back is here. And that this is what MAGA wanted. This is the playbook from 2025 or whatever the hell it was called, Project 2025, which I got a lot of that out there. This is all a playbook from Project 2025. I'm like, really? Well, what's the playbook? Like, what exactly is, well, he's ignoring orders. I said, what orders has he ignored? Well, he sent those people over there without, and I said, has he sent anybody else since? No. Okay. But it hasn't happened. And it's a fear thing. But we have this weird thing in our mind where the first thing we hear, we tend to believe as the gospel, and getting us to figure out, getting us to unwind that is so hard. And I don't know what it is, but that person believes that there's segregation. And no matter how much you tell them and show them that they were just fixing the wording in contracts about, and these were people who were going to use federal contractors, that they no longer needed to have that because they've got all the other protections, that somehow that meant segregation. And it wasn't one, but it was many. And what do you do? Have you met America? If you've been outside, you've met some of America. I mean, Daniel Tosh was right. I don't know how 90% of the people have a job. But we can't just have 10% working. Can't do all the heavy lifting. A lot of you chiming in about that lady. She was spectacular. She was awesome. You're right, though, Bell. So many of those things, like colleges, like this is a black-only space or a Hispanic-only space or a gay space or a space for this or a space for that. How is that bringing anybody together? We're going to have a black-only graduation. That was pretty popular for a while.
That and proms and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, how does that bring us together again? How is that? It's like the DEI thing. Nothing says racism like more racism. I know I'm going to fix racism. More racism. Doesn't work that way. Coming up, we're going to wrap it up. Got a little bit to talk to with Matt. I wonder what he's going to talk about today. I can guarantee you, much like me, he doesn't really want to talk about this stupid signal gate with these idiots texting each other. It is pretty stupid, though. What a bunch of clowns. Do better, guys. Do better. That's like if I'm in the room, I'm like, don't be idiots and do better.
If you can't handle your own phone, you shouldn't be handling weapons.
No doubt. You shouldn't be sending missiles that cost millions of dollars off to huts in Yemen if you can't figure out who's on your text chain. Everybody put their handle in on the check. Vice President, Department of Defense. You didn't notice this JG guy didn't have anything by his name? Would have been funny if it had said Wentworth. We'll wrap it up straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk, 99.7. So for those of you, we're just talking. Matt comes in and he's talking to his the end of his headphones like it says. Yeah, here he goes. Take it out.
Hello. Check 1, 2.
He's saying that.
Hello. Check 1, 2. This is
and I said, "Oh, so you heard what happened to Bell yesterday?"
And he
says, "No." And I said, "Oh yeah." I said I had to record a voiceover, and I said it wasn't working. And I thought, "Oh, we got frustrated." And I got all the way downstairs, getting ready to leave. He's like, "Chad, come back up. I figured it out." And I thought it was just something. He forgot to turn on the microphone, didn't push the button. So
and this afternoon, I was trying to go into the bathroom, and I'm standing there, and the door won't open, and somebody finally walks by and goes, "You have to push it, dummy."
So here's what I will tell you about Bell K. Perfect, he is not. Honest, he is.
Yes.
And so Bell could have easily said, "Oh, there was a glitch in the system. Oh, there was something that had to be rebooted." No. He said, I'm a dummy. That's what he said.
Well, I think it was also too late because our big boss had figured it out as well. So he was going to tell me because it was hilarious. But you know what, Bell? The good news is he's been good. He's been sitting down in chairs.
I think
normal.
it's all the hair weighing his brain down. Without a head, no head, all that hair, no the brain gets compressed.
All hat, no cattle.
That's what they tell me.
What are you going to talk about? Please, this signal thing, dude. Like, does it matter at this point?
No, it does. So, I mean, the signal thing, I mean, we are in our sphere, in talk radio circles and in other circles, we're responding to what the liberals have now created, which is a quote-unquote crisis. Was it bad? Sure. Was the reporter supposed to be there? No. The two questions are this. One, was this application an appropriate thing for them to communicate on? And by all accounts, by everything that I can find, it was considered to be, by the intelligence community, an appropriate method of communication.
But in 2021, they came out and said this thing's not safe.
Well, I mean, but did the Biden administration, is that reporting inaccurate?
Well, why is it still there then? That's not their fault.
Well,
if you're telling them, they told, was it the guy,
it was already on the machines and on the phones.
CIA guy says, I sat down and they installed it on my computer.
Right. So, I mean, is this an apparatus that is appropriate for that level of communication? I mean, there's always been communication.
Yeah.
Right. Since the beginning of the country, you had you wrote the parchment out and you said, that we're going to attack from the north and go get this to General Washington or whatever. So we've always had secretive communication. So you're going to have a method of communication that fits with the times. Do you want us to go back to parchment? Do you want us to go back to, encrypted telephone calls? Yeah, or do you want to have a modern method of communication that works for everybody? Number two is, I mean, the issue was that someone was included on it that wasn't supposed to be. So can there be a fail-safe, and what do you do with that?
The fail-safe is don't be an idiot.
Well,
do you have that? Do we have that button?
And some folks are suggesting, and here's the deal. If the Biden administration had included me on communication that they were not supposed to communicate with me on, and the first thing I would do is make sure that the information that I had, is this going to endanger the lives of human beings, of Americans, right? That's first and foremost. The second question is going to be, if I offer this information to the general public, am I doing something illegal? Right?
But, so this guy, he got
and
it later.
He did neither.
No, he did.
I don't fault. I mean, as much as I disagree with him, I don't fault Goldberg.
No, he did everything he was supposed to. And the stuff that would have, which was there were some CIA people in the field. Nobody sees any of those things because that's something that he's like, I'm not going to do that. But it goes back to this. If I was Democrat, I've got nothing going for me now, right? It can't be Jasmine Crockett talking about Governor Abbott being a hot wheel. Mm-hmm. It can't be, AOC and them out there doing their thing.
They're going to go with this.
You've got to get something on them because you don't have anything right. You have zero momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And so
you latch onto this and you claim that it's a national security crisis and heads must roll. No heads are rolling.
No heads are going to roll.
No. Maybe a staffer gets disciplined in some fashion.
Yeah,
but other than that, the big news in Tennessee, of course, is the fact that certain members of the House of Representatives want to fight other members of the House of Representatives.
Which I found more entertaining than anything else.
I think it's pretty good. Hopefully, we are endeavoring to have Representative Andrew Farmer on, who is one of the individuals in that altercation, and hopefully that's happening later on.
It was very performative, by the way. It was very performative, as is politics in today's modern world.
Justin Pearson, you know what? His brother killed himself on December 1st of 2024. I think it's a fair question to ask him at some point, when are you going to come back to work?
Yeah. Oh,
I think that's
absolutely.
fair.
100%.
And, so there you go.
We'll talk about that with Matt straight ahead, guys. You guys don't miss the show. You'd be foolish to do so. Super Talk 99.7.